I saw
saw
things
things
I
I
imagine.
imagine. I always people say that's like I saw things I imagine. Like it's two different like lines, but I think it's one line. I saw things I imagine. Like you get that?
I
I know.
never thought of it like that.
Yeah. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Gabby, and that's Ember. I don't know if she's on my left or right on this video here, but that's okay. She's here, uh, and we are the Black Reviewer. And today, what are we doing, Ember?
We are reviewing Wrong Turn, directed by Mike P. Nelson and written by Alan B. McElroy. And he has written every most of the Wrong Turns. He wrote the original Wrong Turn 4,
Yep.
I think Wrong Turn 5, and then he also wrote this one.
Yeah.
It stars a bunch of people that I actually have never seen them in anything
Me neither.
except for one girl, Emma Dummett, and
Hmm.
she was in Bunheads.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know anybody in this movie.
Yeah. No.
Well, most horror films are like that. If I'm gonna jump right
Yeah.
into it, like I just hardly know people unless like it's mainstream, like what was it, Us or something like
Mhm.
that, where I knew the actual people that were in there. But like this movie, I had no clue who anybody was. But despite me not knowing anybody, I here's the thing about horror movies.
Yeah.
That's
No,
how I
y'all, let
feel.
me tell y'all because I told her,
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
said,
go ahead, go ahead.
I was like, Gabby, we should review Wrong Turn. And she was like, what is that? I'm like, it's a scary movie. She's like, no. I'm like, it's not even
I,
scary because like
I don't.
I love
Mm-mm.
horror movies. I'll watch them all, except for like the ones that I really don't like are the not
Mhm.
like the ones that have no reason for being so
Yep.
gory or no like
Yep.
there's no reason for any of the stuff happening and
Happening. Yeah.
it makes me uncomfortable, then I'm like I'm not gonna watch
I
it.
mm-mm.
And
The
the Wrong
same.
Turn franchise is it's like that. It's really gory. There's like unnecessary like
Mhm.
rape scenes and things like that. And a
Yep.
lot of like sex scenes and things. And but this one I was like,
Mhm.
Gabby, it's not even the same as the other ones. Like, it's not the same out. Have you seen any of the other Wrong Turn? Like, have
I
you
haven't
seen any of
seen
the
the other
franchise?
ones. I haven't seen the other ones. I ain't gotta see the other ones, okay? Because this is enough for me. And this was like this wasn't bad. This wasn't bad. She was right, y'all. I be over dramatic sometimes and like overreacting, but she's right. Yeah, I don't like horror films a lot, y'all. I'm gonna just say that right now, but I'm gonna stick through it and gun through it because she is the horror enthusiast and I'm not. But
Yeah,
on this one wasn't
if
scary.
you,
It wasn't
I'm like,
scary.
if you don't really
Yeah.
know about the Wrong Turn franchise, it's
Hmm.
basically like a bunch of like
Hmm.
really
Cannibals. Go ahead, call them cannibals.
interesting. Yeah,
I
it's
was just calling.
some interesting looking cannibals
Yeah.
that like inbreds living in
Hmm.
the forest,
Middle of
and people
nowhere.
they know they live out there,
Hmm.
they just don't mess with them. And like
Yep.
yeah, and the movies are just they're very gory, and the
Yep.
inbreds are like they're very ugly, and
Yeah.
this one doesn't do that. So I
Hmm.
felt like Gabby would really like this one a lot better than the other
And
ones. I
other ones.
actually, do you think you
Yes.
watch the other ones after this?
No.
So yes,
No.
no.
No. I can't do it. No, it's not like I can't watch horror films. I'm not gonna lie. I took a whole no, you weren't in that class, but we took
Mm-mm.
a class where it was just straight horror movies. Like every week we would have to watch a horror film. So it's not like I can't watch them. I just don't like. I don't do
Like want
demons.
to.
I don't do
You don't
demons,
do,
and I like sage my house. So,
girl. Not all of them are about demons.
but still, it just be feeling like it after I get done watching it. I'd be like, damn, I can't go to sleep. That's a demon.
Not a
Um,
demon.
he's the reason I can't lay down in it. No, but no, this one wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. Ember really did pick a good film. I personally, when I started anything when it comes to horror films, let me just say this though. When it comes to horror films and not knowing people that are in the films, I think that's better because
Yeah.
I'm able to like take away like the other things that, or I'm not able to take away the other stuff that they've done. Like if I were to like Lupita Nyong'o when she was in Us, for instance, just like a random, when she was in Us, like it was hard for me to kind of look at that as a scary movie. It wasn't really scary anyways, but it was hard for me to look at it as a horror film, just because all the other stuff that I've seen her in. So I'm like just so used to seeing her face in other films that it would be hard for me to like, be scared, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Because she's so
Yeah.
familiar. Familiarity, I think, in horror films is kind of a hard thing to. And
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
saying
like,
that it's impossible, but
yeah, it's like
yeah.
I was watching all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like
Hmm.
the entire franchise. I was starting over. And I
Yeah.
was watching the one with
Was it the
freaking
new one?
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Matthew
Hmm.
McConaughey is in one. And I think
Yeah.
oh my God, I think oh my God,
I can't
the
think
one that
of.
like messes up her face. Her face is like messed
Um,
up.
I know.
Zellweger.
Yeah. Renee Zellweger.
Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
Yes, she's in
Hmm.
that movie with Matthew McConaughey. And I
Yep.
was like, wait, and I couldn't recognize her one because of her face. But
Yeah.
I was so like confused by Matthew McConaughey in a scary
And
movie because like
yeah, it wasn't
I,
clicking. Like it was just like,
yeah, but I feel like the movies are
familiarity. Hmm.
the movies are better when it's people you don't really
You don't
know
know.
or
Yeah.
or
When
it's somebody that's like they've done some stuff but
yeah.
they like if it's somebody that's like a horror like
Hmm.
person, like a person that's always in a horror movie. It's
Yep.
like when you watch another movie and it has a person that's always in horror movies and then you're like,
Hmm.
whoa,
Oh, wait a
you
second.
don't
Well,
do
hold on
this.
there. Hold on
Yeah,
there, buddy.
so
What are you doing?
no, oh there,
Hold on
buddy.
there, buddy. Yeah. But
You've been typecast.
yeah. Yeah, it's like it's not a bad thing. So I think that's also a good thing about like this film is like I didn't know anybody going into it. So I really could judge the characters. And I'm not saying that I was trying to be all judgy, but I was judgy. I'm always judgy during horror films, and even more so than any other film because um they be making stupid ass decisions. Okay, because it just be like, why would you even go off the trail when they told you not to go off
They
the
tell you
trail?
in the beginning, okay, this movie, I'm gonna tell you, it kind of reminded me of Tucker versus Dale versus Evil. It's another horror
Mhm.
movie where like the main
Just
characters they're like horror like they're like supposed to be like the villain.
yeah.
They end up in the situation because the group like
Hmm.
mistook them because they just judged them because they saw
Yep.
them as hillbillies and they were like, oh, we're in the
Hmm.
middle of nowhere, they're hillbillies. Then we think that
Yeah.
they're definitely
Indeed.
gonna kill us. And
Yeah.
like that wasn't even the thing. And that's how I felt with this movie. Like you
Hmm.
guys went somewhere that you were not supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
One.
Yeah.
Two, when the dude ends up killing the one dude because he's like,
Ooh.
well, what's her face was
Mhm.
missing and they were gonna take me off the trail and kill me. And then she
I was like,
first of all,
first of all,
not
where was her at?
realistic.
Where was she at?
Not realistic because how you
Right.
just go pee and then disappear and don't show up
Right.
again until like 30
Until
minutes.
and then she died so fast. Like it was just like
Oh
right after,
yeah.
like immediately, like she was just like bam on some sticks and shit. Like, oh, spoiler
Yep.
alert. Sorry,
She
people
was
die.
this, yeah, we going this I mean, yeah.
People die in the horror
But
film. Yeah.
it's like
It's like damn.
so the beginning of the movie starts out and there's just like a group of people that are going on a hike, like
Yep.
on a hiking trail,
Yeah.
and like kind of the middle of nowhere. And her dad is like looking for her because she's been missing.
Yeah.
And like you get a flashback of the group and like what happened to them. And
Hmm.
basically they go on this trail and while they're on this trail, they go off trail after people tell them not to.
Not to go. Hmm.
And like one of the guys dies from like a log rolling
Log.
down,
Yep.
and like that
It was just
already.
chaos the minute that they went off the trail. Like it
Yeah,
was
the minute,
just
and I
chaos.
love how they had the black guy get them off the
Yep.
trail. I was like, nah, you
Yeah,
know
and
that
he
ain't
actually
realistic.
survived. He actually survived. Here's the thing,
Yeah.
guys. In a lot of horror films, okay, there's a arc where the black person doesn't make it to the end of the horror film. There's a few
Yeah, the
horror
black
films where that
Negro. It's the Negro
happens.
trope.
Yep. There's
Mhm.
a few horror films where that, where the black person does make it to the end of the film. But when I say there's a few, I mean like there's probably three. Like
Yeah, there's
every
like
single horror film, the black
then
person
there's
never
like
gets
always like the
yeah.
magical Negro that's like,
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
voodoo and stuff, and the one
So
that like
yeah,
risked their lives for the
lives.
white like
The final
main
girl.
character.
We can
Yeah,
talk
they
about the
always
final
risk
girl.
their
The
yeah.
yep. So it's
Yeah.
we can talk into that. I was surprised that he made it as far as he made it, but then I ended up being pissed off at him even so. Like
Because he's
Ember,
the one that got them in the
Ember,
situation. And then she's like,
right?
okay, let's go. And he's like,
Go, like, let's
they
get
love
out.
me. I have a home here. I'm like, boy,
I'm
if
like,
you don't
boy,
take, like,
maybe he didn't want to deal with racism no more.
I was about to say, Gabby.
They love me here. Like,
I'm like, they
they tried
don't
to
love
eat
you. They love
you.
what you do for
Do for
them.
them,
Shut
yes.
up.
Same thing,
No, he
okay?
was
I'm
so
just messing.
annoying. And like,
Yes. And it's just like, oh my
I
gosh.
think it's funny how she came up with the idea of we're
Mhm.
important. We're
Yeah.
assets. You could use
Yeah.
us. After
Yeah.
the one guy ends up getting like his eyeballs poked out and pushed in the
Yeah.
dang hole.
hmm
Like now you thought of this?
Like now you were like, okay, I think we're gonna be okay. Like, no.
Yeah. And
So
then
I just
the dad just he was annoying too because he's like, I'm
yeah.
gonna go find my daughter. And they're like, listen, you can't like you're just gonna go out here with a bright yellow jacket on and some
Right, and think that you ain't gonna get
like
caught or nothing. And then I
right.
felt, and then I also was kind of a little upset because the guy was like, "Yeah, we'll go there." I mean, it's his own choice of going into the forest, but then he died. Like him and his partner died. I was like, "Damn, the dad done just drew everybody into like a
That
mess."
was so funny. I was like, are you serious?
Yo,
Like
that was.
really?
It was just like everybody
Y'all, they
died.
died because one of them fell in a hole, and then there
We
was a
laughing.
trap that they like hit the trap, and the trap fell on both of them. The dad noticed it. I love how he didn't really say nothing. He just went ah,
It was so shocked. I was like,
like
"What did you expect?"
yeah, he didn't
Oh my
say
god.
nothing. Oh
Oh
my
god.
god, yeah,
And
no,
then she I don't even I think do we want to spoil the part where she ends up pregnant by
yeah.
the I think it's Vengeance is his name. What's his name?
I can't remember, but it's like
I think it's
so.
Vengeance.
Well, we should mention that they end up getting caught by like the
Yeah.
group, and so
Okay.
instead of in the original like Wrong Turn
hmm
movies, this like the inbreds, right? Well,
Yeah.
in this movie, they take a different approach, and instead of them
hmm
being inbreds, they're just people that like live like they're
Yeah.
mountain people basically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
They're not
they
cannibals in this movie.
no,
I'm
they're
just
kind of
ruining it for you.
like they're
But they
kind of
do
like
some fucked
mountain
up shit.
people.
They
Yeah,
do
they're
some
kind of like
fucked up
mountain
shit.
people that just like
Yeah.
they grew up out there and
hmm
like that's their land. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So
hmm
when all of this stuff happens, it's different from I think the biggest thing I took from it was it's so different from the other movies because the other
Yeah.
movies makes it seem like the people go out there and
Yep.
then they end up dying because of the inbreds. The inbreds are
Yep.
hungry. Whereas this
Yep.
one is the people go out there even though they're told not to and they do
hmm
something stupid because all they think that
Yep.
someone is like something and they're not. They're judging a book by its cover.
Cover.
And so
Yep.
they have to suffer the consequences. Like
Yep. It
period. You gotta suffer the
period. Right.
consequences.
But I
Um,
yeah, it's
yeah.
just there was so and there's another thing too, like just stupid decisions. Like I'm
Hmm.
such a logical person. And this is like something that I have to take away sometimes when I look at a movie and be like, this
Especially
is a
scary movies.
movie, it's made up, like they're gonna make stupid decisions. But in my mind, I just be thinking in the back of my head, like, why would you even like please I think my thing about scary movies too is like it's a scary movie horror film like it just bad decisions all throughout like just bad horrible
Hmm.
decisions being done to you and then also that you've been making but also like it's just one of those things where I want to see a horror film. I can't think of a horror film that I've seen other than maybe probably I wouldn't even some of these I wouldn't even call horror films like Us and all of that type of stuff. I know I keep referring to it, but where horrible decisions are being made
Hmm.
constantly and like there's no way to really make it where it's like, oh shit, like
We
that
messed
wasn't a
up.
bad decision. That was like they, like that was
Yeah.
just a horrible situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what
Like,
you said.
yeah.
Like, these movies, these type of movies aren't scary for you. It's the real life, like, movies, like
Yeah,
things
it's
that
the
could
ones where
possibly
like this
happen
could
that are
really
actually scary.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cause I'm like, okay, she just tripped over
Uh-huh.
that rock. How did she not see that
Geez.
rock? Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Like that, like
Like,
it wouldn't have happened to me. Like, first of all, because I wouldn't
right
be out there. So
out
that's
there,
why it wouldn't
right?
happen to me.
Because they told me not to go
But
out there. I wouldn't go out there. First of all, I wouldn't even,
yeah,
and even if I did, I wouldn't have left the trail. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's this one movie that I watched recently. I cannot remember the name of it. But it's probably like the one movie that like it just made me uncomfortable. It didn't scare me, it made me
hmm
uncomfortable because it was
hmm
so realistic. But even then she like did everything that like I probably would have
hmm
done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like
hmm
even when you do the right
Right
thing,
thing. Yeah.
like
Like,
she
it
doesn't,
still was
it's
like,
just
yeah, it was
uh
bad.
yeah.
What movie? What movie? You gotta let them know. Let the viewers know what
Hold
movie
up.
it's
I gotta
called.
look. Alone.
It's called Alone.
Yes, it's called
Let me
Alone
tell
and
you.
it's on Hulu.
But see, that's the thing too, because like films like that, where it's like it's not like gory or something like that. It's not like a Freddy versus Jason or a Freddy. That wasn't scary at all. But
I was about to say
it's
that's
not
a
a Freddy.
comedy.
It's not a Freddy Krueger. Yeah, it's not a Freddy Krueger. It's not a Candyman. It's not a Pinhead. Even Pinhead scared the shit out of me when I was younger. It's not a
Really?
horror. Yeah, girl, I hated
I
Pinhead.
recently watched that one.
It was crazy. But no, it's the movies like The Lovely Bones. If y'all have never
Mm,
seen The Lovely Bones, that movie terrified the shit out of me. I was underage. I was probably not supposed to be watching that movie because I think it's rated R. I was like,
yeah.
I was like 14 or 15 when I watched that. But movies like that scared the shit out of me because it's something that could happen and it's something that has happened. Like,
Yeah.
I can't
See, you was
even.
watching Lovely Bones. Me, I'm trying to watch Precious, and my mama wouldn't let me.
She's not precious. That was scary to you.
We built different.
She said, not precious. But no, I was like, it's stuff like that that just gets you scared because it's things that like could happen, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm terrified. But like stuff like this, it's just like, okay, I know this shit is fake. Like this is not real. Like, although there are cannibals in this world, I'm not gonna lie. What's
It's
his
so
face was a
nasty.
cannibal. What's his name?
Jeffrey
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Dahmer.
Yep, was a cannibal. So
Mm-hmm.
it's people out here that do this shit, but it's just like to the extent of I fell off the trail. I had to go into the woods. I got a whole bunch of traps set up. I'm wearing these weird ass masks and shit and horns and shit and scaring people and like yeah, like that type of stuff. I'll be like, okay, that's a little much. Like
You said, all right, that
like, all
is not
right,
happening.
yeah,
No, and the ending,
day to day
like
shit.
the ending was good. Like
Yeah,
her dad ends up getting there and she's like, she like shoots him with the arrow, doesn't she?
yeah, she does
She
shoot him
shoots
with
him
the
with the
arrow.
arrow. And they're
She
like,
does
okay,
that,
we're gonna
and then
put him in the
later tells
hole.
him, yeah, later tells him she
Yeah.
does it because she's trying to get it out of the situation that she was put in.
Yeah, because
When
if
she
she
was like,
wouldn't have
y'all
not
can,
shot
yeah,
him and was like, "This is my
it would have
daddy,
looked weird.
y'all," they would have put her up in the hole too.
Yeah,
Probably not.
so
Because she's pregnant. But
yeah, she
ooh,
was pregnant with.
whatever. Yeah, she's
It's
pregnant.
okay. Spoiler alert.
She was
Okay,
she was pregnant.
she was pregnant with the other guy's
Anyways,
baby, but we ain't gonna talk
yeah,
about it. Speaking of which, that's why I also was mad because I was like, the dude want to stay there. Your baby girl, like your girl, just got pregnant. Like
yeah. Like,
another dude, like
how does that make you
it just
comfortable?
come
Like, I guess
comfortable.
I guess
Yeah,
when you think about like, okay, I'm in a life or death situation right now.
yeah.
Get out.
Weak, weak as hell. He weak. Okay, because let me tell
Yeah,
you, I would have
because
been
he was
like,
like, yeah, no,
I'm like,
I'm
you
gonna
know what?
stay.
I would be trying to fight. Oh, we out this hole. Oh, we out this
Yeah, he's
thing.
like he
Like
wanted to
you
stay,
see, he
and
wanted to
I
stay, and I was
don't
like, it didn't make
understand.
sense. It didn't make
I
sense at all.
mean, I guess it makes sense when you think about the fact that like
Life
what
or
he wants
death
to do for a
situation.
living, life or death
Yeah.
situation, but also what he
Oh,
wants to
also,
do is
yeah, he
like
did mention that he wanted
he
an
wanted
equal
to like
life.
yeah, and he wanted to like
Yeah.
build communities and stuff
Uh
like
huh.
that and help communities, and
Yeah.
like that's technically what he was
What he
doing.
was in. Yeah.
But like he could have did that like
Outside
somewhere
of
else.
yeah, with your girlfriend that's not getting knocked up by the leader of the group.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a lot. It was a lot to there. But no, I honestly thought this movie was good. And
Yeah.
I know, and I
That
kind of
ending,
the ending was interesting.
the
Like I liked in the credits how it like
yeah,
got into
how
the
it kept
R&B in the
going.
credits. It kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I would say that I felt like it should have been two movies. I
Too.
felt like yeah, I felt like they should have stopped it at a certain point when the dad like got there maybe, or like when the dad got there and then she shot him with the arrow or something, or like even the point where she was like yeah, you can use us, and then her dad like figures out where they are or something like that, or like is going to go find her. I feel like it could have been two movies. And that's just me being selfish because I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Hmm.
But
See, whereas
I don't know.
I thought
I feel
that it was fine with just the one,
mhm,
but to me, I wasn't sure if they were going for like
mhm,
when they do movies, right?
mhm,
So when they do movies again, and
mhm.
they're like, oh, this is part of the Wrong Turn franchise, and then the movie is completely different. Or if they do like
Yeah,
Halloween and then like the movie is completely different, it
yeah.
makes you think, okay, are they starting over, like
Over,
starting the
yeah.
franchise completely
Or
over?
this
This
is
is from
one and
scratch.
done.
This is
Yeah,
number one, because it's literally just Wrong Turn, but
yeah.
that's kind of what the first one is called too.
Mhm,
And so it makes you think, are they redoing it
mhm.
or like and like starting afresh, or is this like a prequel?
Yeah, I
And
feel
so I
that.
was like, in the eyes of it being a prequel, I think,
Mhm,
okay, so then she ends up
mhm,
getting out of that situation. She's
mhm,
out wherever, but we just think about the reason, like
mhm. Is it
the way
supposed to
that
be a
everything
prequel?
happened.
Because
They
that's
don't
my
say.
thing. Because if it was supposed to be a prequel, that probably I think that would make less sense for it to be a
Because
prequel.
so when I was thinking about it possibly
Mhm,
being a prequel, I was thinking about like, when they like leave and
mhm,
the people that the girl, so there's like in that whole confusing, like
mhm.
that whole scene where they're escaping down that hole or whatever, right?
Uh huh.
And that dude is walking out with that girl whose eyes are like messed up.
Yeah.
Well, technically he was having sex with her. So like all those
Oh,
people are
okay.
like eating at each other.
Even each
They
other.
can't
Yeah.
see. And so what if like
Yeah.
the way that they start going into
That
the
happens
like,
is because of that. Mhm.
yeah, so I'm thinking like, okay, then those people end up eating all those people that are out there. They end up
Mhm.
having sex with each other, and
Mhm.
then now we have some
That's how they
inbreds. They
cannibals.
look
That would be
weird.
interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then at the same time,
Yeah.
I was like, that is a stretch. I had to stretch that to make that work.
It's just like I wrote that myself. Don't quote me
Yeah,
on,
don't
but
take that.
quote
Don't
me on
take
it.
that, y'all. I
She said,
swear to
quote me
God,
on
if
that.
I see it, I swear to God, y'all gonna see
Shoot,
a cease and desist.
exactly. Quickly,
Hmm.
we know people.
With a
Um,
quickness.
but no, I like, and also this is something that I find interesting with like horror films like this that are modern day horror films because um, I know they were out in the forest, probably couldn't have any service or anything like that
Excuse me.
in that sense. But the minute somebody died, I probably would have went back to like somebody should have been keeping up with where they were
Exactly.
because there's no reason that all five of them or four of them, however many was left, shouldn't have known where they were that whole time. So like I think setting wise, a movie like this would be so much better if it was like made in like the 60s or the 70s because or like, even if it was shot like during this time, it'd be a better film if it was shot during the 60s or 70s
Because then
because
they don't have a cell phone
phone,
to
yeah.
like, yeah.
Hmm. So that's just me personally how I was thinking about it. Like this probably would have been really better if it was like made during that time. Of course, they have older films, older Wrong Turns. I don't know if it goes back that far. I think it goes back to the 90s. I might be wrong, or early 2000s. But yeah, I think this film would have been better if it was the setting was different, if that makes sense. Because then I would be like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Like they ain't got no cell phone service. Her dad had to
Yeah.
go searching, like he read maps and shit. He not like on Google Maps trying to find her. Like, it's just
Yeah.
she using a bow and arrow, like, little things like that, like I think would have been a lot better if it was made at a different time. Now I'm not saying that it's a bad film because of that, but I'm saying it could have been a lot better if that was the case. If that time
Yeah.
was put into it. But to say that this film wasn't good, I think it was good only, and I say that probably being biased because it wasn't scary.
Hmm.
Any
See, and
horror
I
film not
say it.
scary to me, I'd say isn't good, but it is. I'm playing, but
I
I thought it
say
was
it's
pretty
a
good.
good little tease, like taste of
Hmm.
horror,
Or
because
yeah,
like I was
it
just
was more
talking
of
to
a
Gabby
thriller.
about this, and I was like,
Yeah,
we haven't had any horror movies come out.
yeah. Hmm.
Like,
Which is so interesting.
like
Like,
I mean, it's 2021 just started, but
hmm,
within that time, we still haven't had any horror movies
yep.
come out.
Hmm.
And this movie came out in January.
And it
Of
wasn't promoted
It wasn't
hardly.
promoted at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
haven't.
then
Yeah,
you have to remember that there's like sites like Shudder that,
yeah,
yeah, we ain't sponsored. But there's apps like
yeah,
Shudder where they do horror
yeah,
movies,
yeah.
and that's all the promotion they get, unless they gonna write
Mhm.
me a check.
Because you could write my homegirl a check. She like horror films, and she can like
Yeah,
analyze that shit for you and write about them. But I'm just saying,
yeah,
if you want to be
but
Shutter.
yeah, Shudder would be like, it has like a bunch of like horror movies. It's
Yeah,
like when the pandemic like hit and all those
yeah.
movies were like, no, we're not
Hmm.
going to the theaters, we're not releasing.
They
No,
just
we're gonna
all
wait
went
till
to this.
next year. They
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them waited till next year, some of them went like straight to HBO,
Hmm.
etc. But then you had Shudder, which released like
Hmm.
a they released a movie called Cam. I think it was
Hmm.
called Cam. So then you have like Shudder that released the movie Host, which is a movie that came out like kind of in
Hmm.
the height of the pandemic, and
Yeah.
like, well, kind of like the middle or whatever. And it's so good. And I
I
think
have to.
that, to
I have to
me,
check it
like,
out.
to me, I feel like people lost kind of creativity once they kind of
Yeah.
went once the pandemic happened.
Hmm.
And it's like they already had lost it before because we kept getting remakes of
Yeah.
things.
Of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like once we got in the pandemic, because we were
Hmm.
already watching remakes because
Yep.
nobody was releasing anything. Now I
Hmm.
think people are like, oh, we really had to come out with some original stuff because
Yep.
they've already watched all the
Watched
remakes
all of
because
the
they had
old
nothing
stuff.
else to watch.
Right. Going through
And
nostalgia.
yeah, and
Hmm.
Host on Shudder was such a
Hmm.
good movie. It was one of the like first horror movies like released during the pandemic.
Hmm.
And it was filmed through Zoom.
That's interesting.
And it was filmed through Zoom. And so
Hmm.
I just feel like now people are just, I don't
Yeah.
feel like, I feel like they're kind of just waiting, because after that I've watched a lot of really good horror films on
Hmm.
Shudder that came out last year. um I y'all, I didn't pay for my subscription this year because
I can't.
a
I
sister
can't.
gotta
She
figure out her
said.
coin.
I can't.
But
She
I'm
said.
gonna resubscribe again
Hmm.
because it does have really good stuff. They have really
And
good stuff.
like the only horror film I know about that's coming out, and it's not coming out until later, I think, is The Conjuring, I think. And I've seen The Conjuring a couple thousand times, so I'm like, okay, what's new? like,
Yeah, The
and it's
Conjuring's
not even
coming
like a new
out.
thing. But
Halloween's
you
supposed
know,
to come out,
Halloween is supposed to come out
and
as well.
what is that?
What was another one?
A Quiet Place. It's
There we
supposed to
go.
come out next
Hmm.
month
Yeah.
or the end of this
So
month.
I think it might be April. I might be wrong, so y'all can check us on that.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but
don't quote us on
I
it.
there's not many new horror films coming out, like nothing new. Like the last horror film I saw in theater, and I don't think it was really a horror film. It felt like a horror film because I was just like I was
She
breathing hard
said,
the whole time. I was breathing hard
"Ooh."
the whole time because I think it was Underwater or something like that. Had Kristen
Oh, well,
Stewart in
Kristen
it.
Stewart.
Yeah, and it
Hmm.
was really interesting, and they were like at the bottom of the ocean or something like that, and there's these creatures. And
Dang, I
that
should
shit
have
could be
watched that movie.
speaking of which, that shit could be real too because we don't know what the hell is at the bottom of the ocean. Okay, we only get to see at a
See,
certain
okay,
level
I was
what's
having
at
this
the.
conversation with
Uh huh.
Katie, and I
Yep.
was like, I used to be afraid of the ocean,
I'm not
but
afraid of
now
the
I'm more
ocean,
of
but
afraid of space than I am the ocean, because the ocean,
mhm,
there's a bottom.
yeah,
Space there's no
it,
stopping. It just
there's no
keeps
stopping. It's
going.
infinite. Hmm.
Yeah, like the ocean, yeah, we've only explored like 20% of it, but
Hmm.
at the same time, I know that there's a
Hmm.
bottom. I'm gonna hit it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna hit it eventually.
I always say, and this is kind of weird of me to say, I always say that things that humans imagine are probably real. And this is
Hmm.
and this is just me thinking about it because space is so infinite, and this is just me going on a on
Yeah.
a
I
talk.
like
But
we are talking about
space is
wrong turn, guys,
infinite.
but I feel like with wrong turn, you kind of have to start talking about like weird stuff and just
Yes,
like horror
yeah,
in general. When you talk
yeah, in
about a horror
general,
movie, you start talking about other horror
other
movies
things,
because
yeah.
they kind of start relating. But sorry, what were you
Yeah.
saying?
No, you're good. Yeah, but I was watching some type of space film where they were talking about like just if something were to happen, these are the type of creatures that would be able to survive on that type of planet. And I was thinking to myself, if we can imagine these things, the likelihood of those things being real is probably very, very high because space is
Like
infinite, you know,
mermaids.
like mermaids. Like, I know people will say mermaids ain't real, but on another planet it could be. Like, you don't
Hmm.
know. Like, so I think like a lot of the things that we imagine aren't real. A lot of people say, well, it's not real. It's not real here, but it could be real on another planet. You don't know because space is infinite. So that's a whole
Yeah.
topic of conversation for another day. I know we just went off on a tangent, but
Like,
I
listen,
think about that a lot. I think
I
about the shit that you
I
imagine.
got
A
a
lot of that
song
probably
about
isn't
this.
real. Uh huh.
I grew up
Oh,
a little girl with dreams,
I can't. Not that she's
dreams, but
singing some lines.
also
I can't.
I saw
I saw
things
things
I
I
imagined.
imagined. I
I saw
saw
things
things
I
I
imagined.
imagined. I always People say that's like I saw things I imagined. Like it's two different like lines, but I think it's one line. I saw things I imagined. Like you get that?
I
I know.
never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
And I
I don't
never
know
thought
why
of
I
it
think
as
about
two
it like
lines.
that.
I was just like,
Like
what
I
was she
saw
on when she
things
made this?
I imagined. Yeah, she's like, oh no, I want whatever she had because
For
she
real.
be
Who's in
lit.
the stew with you?
Right.
And who brought the
Hit
kush
me
that
up,
day?
sis. I'm trying to figure out what you was smoking on. I don't know what it was, but I'm here for it, sis.
Yeah.
I'm taking this out so that nobody knows that.
Like, listen,
Listen.
what were
But
you
no, like,
on?
but I thought this film was good. How did you rate it though? How was the rating of this movie?
Um, I gave I'm just going off of like me and like how I watch horror movies. I
Hmm.
thought that this movie, I'm not gonna say I thought it was good because I finished the movie and I was like,
Yeah, it wasn't a horror film. That's my thing.
yeah.
It
I
more
was
it felt
like,
more like a thriller.
okay. Mm-hmm.
'Cause, I mean,
Oh,
people
I
it's
did.
gory and people were dying and like it was like, oh, why,
And it wasn't like super gory or anything like that.
Yeah,
So like I think, oh my
I gave it a
god.
7. Just artistry wise, I gave it a 7. Um, because one, like one, I didn't know like some of the characters, which is perfectly fine. Like I think in horror films is perfectly okay, like casting wise. But you can tell a little bit if they're not like um you can tell when the writing is kind of I wouldn't even say the writing, but like the when they're doing the dialogue, um it doesn't seem what's the word I'm looking for? Um you just know it's fake, you know? Like
Yeah.
you don't draw emotions from it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no emotions being drawn from it. Like I know some horror films where I'm like shit. like,
Yeah.
I never like it just makes me get out it like it makes me cringe. Like it makes me like don't want to like look at it anymore. Like horror films I feel like are
Excuse
supposed to
me.
be like that. Does that make sense? Like not every horror film is
Yeah.
going to be like that. I feel like it's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to make me jump. And I'm like, I don't like horror films. And if this one doesn't make me jump, it's labeled as horror. I don't think it's a real horror film. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think
Like,
that like the movie really didn't like it really strayed away from its
yeah,
predecessor. And
Yeah.
so like that was one thing that like threw me off. Like I kind of
Mhm.
forgot that I was watching a Wrong Turn movie. And it
Uh-huh.
just doesn't help that I don't know what their goal was. Was the
Was,
goal for
yeah.
it to be a prequel? Was the
Yeah.
goal for them to just start over? Like
Yeah.
this is the same screenwriter
Mm-hmm.
as
Yep.
the other Wrong Turns and the
Mm-hmm.
original Wrong Turn. And like it doesn't follow that.
It's like,
Like
what's the purpose of this movie? You
yeah,
know,
and
like, is
so
it
a
supposed
part of
to?
me doesn't want to judge it because like doesn't want to judge
It's
it.
its own movie.
Yeah, like I want to judge it as its own movie, but at the
Mhm.
same time, you have the title of Wrong Turn when there's already a
Yeah.
movie called Wrong Turn, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
judge it on the
On
original.
Right,
And
because you said it's supposed to be like a wrong
yeah,
turn film. You know.
I
Um.
gave Artistry a 5.
Mhm.
Only
Understandable.
because like casting and everything, it was what it
Mhm.
was.
Yeah.
I thought that the setting was just weird.
Yep.
Just weird. Like
Weird. That's what I was mentioning too. Like the setting. The reason I gave it a 7, like casting wise, I was like, okay, that was, I can get past over that. Setting wise, I felt like it just would have been a better movie if it was at a different time period. Does that make
mhm.
sense? I just
Yeah.
felt like it would have been a lot more scarier if it was like made in the 60s or 70s. Like the setting of the film was in the 60s or 70s. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the setting to me, I'm like
And then
you
if
just have
mhm.
these kids that like are from a nice like rich
Yeah,
town coming to like the was it supposed to be the country? Was it
right.
supposed to be
Supposed
like
to
the middle
be.
of nowhere? Because it didn't
Yeah,
give me middle of nowhere or country vibes.
right.
So
It's the
that's why I gave it a
Appalachian Trail.
5.
Right.
Yeah, just
Yeah. It's just, yeah. So that, yeah. So I rated it low. I gave a 5 on the message, the writing part.
I give
Um,
it a
I
4.
I gave it a 5. And I gave it that because it just wasn't promoted at all.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I gave it a 5 and not anything lower than that is because I don't think it had the budget maybe to do it. I could be incorrect.
Yeah.
But nobody was really promoting it, so I can't fault the film for not being promoted how it should have been promoted, or the people that were supposed to do it. I mean, maybe I can fault them for maybe it was their fault that they didn't promote
Yeah.
this how it's supposed to be promoted. So, but I gave it a 5 just because I didn't know.
Yeah. I gave it
Pandemic, all of that stuff kind of comes into play, so I might be a little bit easier on the
but
score
then
for that.
again, when I think about like promotion and stuff like this, maybe
Hmm.
I'll give it a 6. Only because
Hmm.
with Wrong Turn and like let's talk about this. With
Okay.
horror movies, if it's
Hmm.
not with people that we don't know, it does not get promoted.
Promote it. Yeah.
They get snubbed at award
Hmm.
shows, like and the whole
Hmm.
shebang. So they
Yep.
like when you think about horror movies, don't have promotions at all
Hmm.
unless it's Halloween, scary movie,
Hmm.
Freddy versus Freddy,
The big
Jason,
names,
yeah, the big
Yeah.
names, or like Us
Hmm.
because you have Jordan Peele, you have Lupita,
Names behind it that people know. Hmm.
exactly, and like something that intrigues people. But when you have something like Wrong
Hmm.
Turn, It
Hmm.
Follows,
Yeah.
Animal with
It
Kiki
Follows
Palmer,
was so, oh my gosh. If y'all, I'm
yeah,
sorry to cut you off, but
no,
that's
you're
one of those
good.
films. It's scary. That's one of those films where I gave it a 10 out of 10 for everything because it is one of those movies where it made you jump. It was
Yeah,
scary as hell. And it wasn't like, one of those films where it was just like super horror-y and like stuff like that. It was just one of those where it was like, oh fuck. Like it was
yeah,
such a good,
and it
like
was
it's such a good
realistic
idea.
because
It
you
was
could get a
original
disease from
disease.
somebody,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
just
so
like the whole
original.
disease, yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
sorry to cut
it's
you
like
off, but yeah.
no, you're good. It's like
Hmm.
movies like that, Animal
Yeah.
with Kiki
Yep.
Palmer. Kiki
Yep.
Palmer was in a horror movie, and
Yeah.
it didn't really get any
Any
promotion.
traction. Yeah.
But like, I really think there are
Hmm.
two people in two groups that like there are two people in these
Hmm.
groups that get snubbed at award shows. I
Hmm.
think stunt doubles and horror
Yep.
films, they
Yep.
always get
Get
snubbed. They
snubbed
don't
because.
have any recognition
Hmm.
at
And
all. It's like they
the
don't exist.
I heard through the grapevine, stunt doubles they don't do, and this is I could somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that somebody said that they don't do stunt doubles like at an Oscars or a Golden Globes or something. They don't have an award for that because they said people would go too hard. Um, like,
Mhm.
and like try to do stunts that you could die from, because it's already like being a stunt double is already hard as it is. But they would go too hard in trying to do those stunts, and it would make it like,
I guess that
that in
makes
that case. And I was like,
sense.
I was said the same thing. I was like, I guess that makes sense. But when the movie's done, like the movie is already laid out on how it's supposed to be done. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, I guess what they're
when it comes
saying
to
is like
stunt,
when somebody sees that, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this person won this award for that, so let's like push
let's
it
do
with another
something. Yeah, let's
movie."
push it for another movie. So like, yeah, so I kind of get that, but at the same time, like usually when
At
you
least
do a
give them some
film,
recognition.
yeah, when you do a film, you at least like have it laid out on what you're supposed to do. Like you're not going to go further than a lot of things that you've already decided that you're going to do for the film. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So,
I
but
I agree. Like I just
I
think that
agree though.
those
I
two
agree. They
horror
always
movies
get
like they
they do.
never have any good promotion
Yep.
unless like they have a budget.
Yep.
Let's be real.
Yep.
They're usually like
Mhm.
not A-list movies. They're
Yep.
usually not. And
Mhm.
so
And they do some
I
good horror films.
yes, oh my God, there are some
I
horror
mean,
films that don't
the
have a good
first
budget and they're good.
the first film I watched on Netflix, like other than not before it was when it was streaming,
Uh-huh.
because we could go back to some of y'all don't remember when Netflix used to send you DVDs, but the first film I watched on streaming Netflix was Devil, and
Oh
I don't think
yeah. That's the
and
one
it
with
was
the
a horror
elevator,
film.
right?
Yeah, The Elevator. And I thought that movie was so good because I
That
was
was
like,
a good
damn,
movie.
it was really good. So like, but stuff like that, it just don't get any type of
They
promotion
don't
unless
get
it's
any
word of mouth,
promotion. And I
you
really
know?
think it's just because they're like it's crude and grotesque. And
Yeah.
like you really just have to see the art in it. And if you don't see the
Yep.
art in it, then you're
Yep.
not like
Yep.
or if it's not artsy fartsy or if it doesn't have like a message,
Yep.
like then it's not
It's
gonna
not.
win. Like what
Hmm.
Us was nominated for some stuff. I don't think it
Yeah.
won. Parasite was nominated. It
Was
won
nominated.
stuff, but I
Hmm.
wouldn't call Parasite a horror film.
Horror film. Yeah. It's not really
Besides
horror
the
to me.
jump scene, this jump scare with the dude from the
Dude,
stairs,
oh, look, that shit scared the shit out of me, girl.
it got
I
me
ain't never,
too.
girl,
But
I had to pause it. Like,
but yeah, like I just think
yeah.
it sucks. So to
Yeah.
me, I take my 4 back. I give it a 5.
Mhm.
Uh only because I
You
didn't
said
like the
6.
writing.
No, I'm just kidding.
Uh
I'm messing with
take
you.
that
I'm
back
messing with
too.
you.
I
Two.
give
She
it a
said,
5
I'm taking it
because
off.
of the writing.
No take
Because of the
back.
writing,
I'm
I
kidding.
did not like
Yeah,
the
no,
writing. It
I
wasn't
get it.
realistic.
It
When she has
wasn't.
the whole conversation with the guy in the bar and he's like,
Yep.
"Yeah, you guys don't even understand." And she's like, actually,
Yeah.
he owns this and this person does
Right.
this for the community and she's a doctor." And he's like, "What do you do?" She's like, "I make coffee."
I was like, girl, if you don't sit your ass
I
down
was like,
somewhere,
"Girl, shut up."
like, girl, okay. But
Like,
it wasn't realistic.
yeah,
It was like,
no, it
okay, whatever.
wasn't.
So,
Yeah, so that's what I give it. And it just
yeah.
based on the genre, it didn't
Mhm.
like it wasn't a game changer at all.
Yeah, it wasn't anything that made
The
it
only
stand out.
game changer it was it changed the way that the movies, the franchises like go. Like it was
Right.
different. That was the
Yeah.
only change. It was completely different
Mhm.
from the others.
Mhm. I gave filmography a 4.
Yeah. I mean, it was basic.
It was basic. It was, it wasn't anything crazy when it comes to filming. Editing was kind of like, okay, I kind of know this is going to happen. It
Hmm.
wasn't like anything that really like I jumped, but I jumped because it's kind of like, damn, somebody just died. Like, it wasn't it wasn't like a shocking like, oh my gosh, they died like this. Like it wasn't shocking. Does that make sense? Like it
Yeah.
wasn't editing, filmography, like cinematography, like it just wasn't standoutish. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just yeah, it didn't give me it didn't
Yeah.
give
It
the
wasn't giving
girls
what it was supposed to
anything.
give.
It didn't give the girls what it was supposed to give. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you? You said I said a 4.
I'm
She
just
said a
gonna
2.
agree. So we got something lower than a 0. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna give it the same thing. What you say, a 4?
A 4.
Okay, then yeah, I'm gonna say a 4.
But
I'm gonna go lower than you. I'm gonna say a 3.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
This is
I
not
know.
it's just it wasn't like a horror film
Like the
where
movie was
it
good, y'all.
wasn't
Like
bad. It was
it was
good
not bad. If you want to
where I
watch
was
a
like
horror movie, if
it's a
you were
good one to
into
watch.
if you're in 2021 and you want to watch a horror movie because you haven't seen, like, you've seen a whole bunch of old stuff and you want to watch something
Yep.
new, then it's a good movie to
Hmm.
go and watch. But
Hmm.
and like good, it is not good
Good.
quality.
Yeah.
It's not good quality. It's
It's
just
not something that's
good.
gonna make you be like, whoa, this is like, on cutting edge.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something,
And
of course, and even
yeah.
with it being from another like series, like the same series but another series, the Wrong Turn series,
Mhm.
like it wasn't like a remake that was like, oh damn, this is better than the old one, you know?
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Hmm.
Because we don't
And
even
I
know
was
if it's
like, I
supposed to
haven't.
be a remake.
Right, exactly. So, well, I
Sorry.
say, you can still watch it if you
Yeah, even
want
if we
to.
give something a bad rating,
Bad
just you
review
can go
doesn't mean,
watch it.
yeah, it doesn't mean that you don't have to watch it. What I will say though, please check out our review. Go to our website. Remember, you can always catch us on theblkreviewer.com. In addition, check out our social medias, or I always say TBR Reviewer, TV Reviewer, or at TV Reviewer. You can catch that at Instagram as well as on Twitter. And then in addition, you can catch us on Facebook as well, just at The Black Reviewer spelled out. But yeah, I mean, go watch it if you can. I had to rent it for $5.99. I had to spend my little chump change that I had. I should have did it online for free, but that's okay. We learn, we live
Yeah,
and we
that's what I
learn.
did, y'all.
No,
I watched it for free, y'all.
you ain't supposed to be saying we bootlegging them, but yeah.
Shoot,
So
I
I
ain't
should have
bootlegging it.
bootlegged
I
it
was
too.
just borrowing it. I gave it back.
Yep. All right, y'all. It's been real. Get into it.
Get into it.